Welcome back to the Freemouse MC, and we're back here today at quite a cold late hour, and we are today going to fix the slipping clutch on the Yamaha FCR behind me. I'm sadly now sitting right in front of the part that we're going to be working on, because we are going to basically replace these little pads inside the clutch that need to grip on each other, because when accelerating with this motorcycle, you have a slipping clutch between 100 and 200 kilometers an hour, and at the same time we're going to do the oil change. For that we here have the oil filter and the oil filter like seal or something, and all this stuff is not going to be as straightforward as on a normal motorcycle, because this thing has quite a bit different of an oil filter. So let's go and try to get the oil out of the machine. I only have done oil changes on one kind of bike before, so this is going to be completely new, and I'm going to take you along. So let's go.
First of all, I realized that the motorbike was the wrong way around to let the oil out of the bike, and I needed to turn it around in my small garage space. So let's remove the oil pan screw.
So now, having drained the oil of the Yamaha FCR 1000, let's replace the clutch.
After removing all the screws of the clutch cover, I found out that I was not able to move it one bit, and it was really tough getting it off. It was so bad, I genuinely had to loosen up the clutch cover with hammering on it with a hammer, and also trying it with a tool that's for reclining brake pistons. So now let's remove the clutch cover and then remove the screws of the clutch in a crisscross pattern so nothing pulls out in a weird way. After half the friction and steel plates were out, we found this little rubber thing in the middle. Let's remember where it was. I had trouble getting the rest of the friction and steel plates out, so I used some gravity for help to loosen them and get them more into my direction. When still having struggles with the removal, I added some help with a screwdriver, and it worked out fine.
So I now have the old clutch assembly here to orientate myself on how to now include the new one. The new one is in the old oil because we needed to have that stuff soak in there so we can now properly install it. That's a good tip. So here we go. Ah, fuck. I ordered these in the internet and they don't have the same size. That does not look good. So I now found out that our new rings for the clutch are a tiny bit smaller on the inside, so there's less like friction plate basically. I hope that this still works out. Also, with it being the heavy duty clutch and whatever, we don't really have another option now, so let's try them out. Also, we cannot really Google this, as the Google question, does the inner radius of a otherwise identical clutch plate doesn't match, doesn't really bring any like results. So we will now dry this off the old oil. I'll balance these ones on 9 o'clock with the little opening right here. Like they're on both sides, so 9 and 15 o'clock. On this bike the friction plate goes in first. So we're reusing these apparently. There were no new ones in the pack. They have a round edge right here and a really solid edge on the other side. As I understand it, the bike is pressing in from here, so I think the really solid edge should go inside like this. Let's put this one over there. Okay, I hope when reinstalling these that we have good grip then in the clutch, with the thing being just a tiny bit smaller and also us having dipped the stuff in oil overnight. And I mean, I'm doing this the first time, so that's why I'm nervous. So now we have to put this little ring, I don't really know what it's called or what it does in there, but it's really important when you have the old clutch assembly to basically put it in the same way, just the other way around. Okay. So we now here genuinely have the last metal piece that goes on there. So let's go. Okay, let's put this thing here back in. Now we have here the last friction plate. Let's put that back in. Yeah. Okay, all good. Now we have a bearing and a washer that needs to go on there. So let's do that one next before putting the whole cover back on and then replacing the springs.
Now it was time to remove the seal. Only problem was it was really difficult and there was no chance of doing it with alcohol spray and tissues. So I ordered steel wool and a seal removal knife from Amazon. I don't know why, but even with these tools, removing the old seal was an insane pain in the ass, and I don't know how other people manage it. After removing the old seal completely, I prepared the new seal with putting long-term grease all over it to get a really good sealing surface, and also put long-term grease onto the other side of the clutch cover, which I then put back onto the motorcycle.
So we now have the clutch cover back on the bike, which was quite a bit of work because getting all that stuff off took in the video a few seconds, but I was on that for hours and hours and hours. And now we still have to replace the oil filter. The oil filter on this machine is a bit different than on other bikes, and I'm replacing an oil filter of that kind for the first time. So let's go, because there's like a little cover over it that we have to remove first, and then there's a spring and like an individual filter that's inside this box that we're going to put in, and I hope that all works out.
When removing the oil filter, I of course instantly ruined my landlord's driveway and tried to fix it with a mustard glass and some tissues.
So we now here have this part of the oil filter holder, and there's this little seal. We need to replace this with this one right here, and then there's this metal plate. The previous owner forgot to put that on there. This one goes basically on there inside this filter, and yeah, let's replace this one first.
After renewing the seal, I put the feather that pushes onto the oil filter back in, and then the oil filter. After replacing the oil filter, I still needed to replace the seal on the oil filter cover. Next up, I wanted to replace the copper washer on the oil pan screw that we took out earlier to let out the oil. I didn't have a copper washer in that size, so we're doing something called annealing. It's where you take the copper washer, heat it up with a flame, and then put it into cold water. After that, the copper washer should be as good as new. Let's put the oil pan screw back, and now we can put in the new oil.
So after now having done all that, let's refill the oil. It's a bit complicated because the opening for the oil is a bit weirdly over there. And yeah, let's go. New oil, 10W40. I think the thing is, this oil canister works like a canister of milk, where you need like to rip open the lid, and the thing for ripping open the lid ripped off. Let's go again.
With the weird hole in the canister lid, it was really tough to fill up the oil, but it worked out in the end. When trying to ride the bike, the oil lamp went on, and when trying to push back the bike to the garage, I found out that the clutch doesn't fully separate, most likely because there's air in the hydraulic clutch. After it being quite intense to push the bike back, I managed to put the bike onto even ground in the garage, because my problem was that the ground wasn't even before when topping up the oil.
So we now have everything so far together that we can do a little test ride. I definitely still need to replace the liquids in the brakes and in the hydraulic clutch, but for now we get to see if everything with the oil level is now correct. And also I thought about doing this first here with these screws. Sadly they're broken, so we will need some time to get that fixed anyway. So let's see. I'm a bit nervous because maybe we fucked something up and we're now destroying the whole bike through driving with it. But it's on and running. Yeah, so we're for the first time in this season on the Yamaha FCR 1000. How cool! We've been working on this bike all winter and now we're driving it for the first time on the second day of good weather of this year. And wow! Really, really nice. Like, the project's definitely not finished. We still need to like replace the liquids. Sadly, the little screw for replacing the hydraulic clutch liquid is broken, and we need to get that removed, this screw, but I will be driving to a workshop that maybe has the tool for that, because I'm not planning on spending money on a drill now.
The workshop did a half-assed attempt at trying to remove the screws and said that the whole housing of the liquid is completely messed up, and also that something in the transmission is bent and it will most likely be 2 to 3 grand to fix it, which is just a bunch of bollocks, so I went away there. That mechanic shop actually has been with bad repairs in the past, the motivation to do these videos completely myself, but it's the only one close.
So after now taking the Yamaha FCR 1000 for the first time for a spin around the block, we sadly cannot today put the fairings back on, but to celebrate the day that we are able to move the bike for the first time after working on it for the whole winter, we're going to put on these little crosses for the front headlights, because I think that's going to look really nice, and I got them from like this company that sent them to me, and it will look really, really cool. And yeah, let's put them on.
Quiet down just a minute. settle down and have another one, 'cause you're tired of the game that remains until you're undone. I hit the wall to the limit. I start over like you've just begun. I didn't lie to you because I never knew you. Only time will tell. Only time will tell.
When the bike then is properly finished, I would also love to then put like dark red handlebars onto the bike to go fitting with the color scheme of the bike, because if you see here closely, our crosses on the front lights are also in like a dark Bordeaux red. So we today managed to successfully switch the clutch plates and all that and have a really good look at it, and also get the bike new oil. So today we successfully had the bike for the first time on the road after now exchanging the different clutch plates, giving the bike new oil, and we also drove with the bike a bit, seeing that the bike runs well, everything is fine with the engine, everything that we did with the water pump, we didn't do anything wrong, so the bike runs. Sadly, we also ran into some new issues. We wanted to replace the different liquids for the brakes and for the hydraulic clutch. That was sadly not possible because the screws on the thing are broken, and most likely the whole canister is broken. We will need to replace that, and also like we cannot just order that part from the internet. I will need to find this part from another bike, but I already know a guy, so I think it should happen relatively quick. And we're really getting close to our goal with this bike of having the fairings back on and then being able to properly ride it. And we now have mid-March. I don't know when this video is going to release, but most likely until beginning of April we're actually going to have this done. As a little celebration for getting the bike for the first time on the road, we put these little like headlight crosses on there, and I think it's a really nice, tasteful mod. Definitely like and subscribe if you want to see me finish this motorbike and then having it on the road and riding it in the summer. With summer getting closer and closer, I'm already sitting here in the hoodie, and see you soon.